Hi, it's Lily Amanda for Portrait Creatives. In this episode, we are going to talk about curves. Curves is something really versatile to use. It's not only able to adjust the exposure, the brightness and the darkness, we also can use it to use color correction and also to how to style a photo, to edit a photo into a certain style. So let me show you these 5 tips of using curves. Let me take you into Photoshop. So we have this beautiful image of Lucia. Come here and to add a curve adjustment layer. The first thing you can do is to adjust the brightness and the darkness, all right? And the first thing is I want to see this area. How bright is this area? Can I push up more to have more dramatic look? Have a look at this hand tool that with this little triangle up and down. And this tool is super useful because once I come here, it becomes an eyedropper. Take a look at this area. You'll see there's a ring, there's a circle going around. That is where the brightness is. And if I go to a dark area, you see it moves to a darker area, right? This is 255, this is 0. This is a histogram. So if you don't know about histogram, I have another video talk about histograms and I would suggest you to check it out before you come back to this video. I will leave the link in the description. So first when we find out this is the brightness over here and I figure like maybe I can push up a little bit. So I roughly see where the circle is and I just can click on this area and you can see the hand coming out, right? Exactly like the tool would just click on. So I can just use it, drag it up or down and you can see the curve change, right? And that's how you can really go into some area and you just want to adjust that part of area. You can really use this tool to change the brightness or you want to change the color and tone, okay? So let me just adjust a little bit so you can see the curve has new point and it has dragged it up a little bit because I was doing this movement, right? And I also can drag it down if I think it is too bright. That is the way to adjust this as well. I'm gonna leave it here. And I can also adjust these dark points. For example, I want it to be darker. And you can see it's already here, right? And I want it even darker, so I just click on it and drag it down. And you can see immediately it adds the contrast into image, right? It's a small S shape. So that's one thing you can do. You can just use this tool to adjust local area. So let me just go back to the setting before and I can just click on this. It will reset the setting. So for example, if I just want to brighten her inner hair over here, look at what I would do. I would just click on this hand and click here and drag it up. Look at that. But it brightens up all the image, right? What I would do is I would just go on this layer mask area and invert it by Command I or Control I on the PC. And then I'm just going to use B, a brush tool, and change it to opacity 100. And then I just change my brush size and I just brush it, this area. So I have this local area brightened. That's so easy to do just with this curve adjustment layer. And then I can add some feathering to blend the color on the edges better. Okay, so let me just reset this setting again and I'm gonna delete these. I can also use curves to do dodge and burn. So I'm going to add another curves. And the bottom one, I will just drag it down. It's the one I'm going to do burn, means I want to darken the area. And this one, I'm going to drag it up. Okay, so this is about here. So I'm just going to brighten to add highlights into the image. Okay, this one just burn, this is dodge. Okay, so I'm going to invert these 2 layer mask. And then I'm going to use my brush and opacity going to change to 20%. And I would just go in to this area. Like for example, I want to enhance her makeup. So I want to darken them. So I'm just going to gently just to brush over here, make it darker, because I'm on 20%. So I can slowly darken it without just doing too much all in one go. And I also want to darken her neck. So I just go over like this. And I was to darken her hairline a little bit here. Okay, and also her eye makeup. I also want them to be darker. And I just go over. And I'm just going to move it to, I want her hand here to be darker as well. So I'm just going to brush over to make her hand darker. Okay, and slowly dark on the neck as well. More. Okay, so I'm coming to this dodge layer and this curve adjustment layer. So this is the area I want them to be brighter and just to add highlight. And I will just go on her forehead here, and perhaps a little bit on her nose here, and also here. Under her eyes, I want to also add highlights on her hair. Some highlights. I can just do that and to add highlight. You can see this before, this is after. Okay, and I can also add some on her lips. Go over a few times because I want them quite bright. Okay, and also here a little bit. And you can see that's before, that's after, and this is before, that's after. Just give more definition to her face. Okay, and so I'm going to show you this is before and after the contouring dodge and burn. Okay, just before and after. Okay, so that is the second tip. You can use curve adjustment layer to do dodge and burn. Okay, I'm going to delete these two layers. You can also use curve adjustment layers to add contrast to the image. So I'm going to add curves. I'm just going to add a point here. That is the midtone. So I don't want midtone to move. I only want to add a little bit contrast. So here, I'm just trying to get an S shape, okay? So over here, and maybe a little bit here, maybe a little bit here. Immediately you can see this layer. This curve adjustment just add a massive contrast, right? And looks super cool. Okay, that's just one way. Another way you can do to add contrast to an image with a curve adjustment layer is use blending mode. I'm going to reset this adjustment without doing any adjustment, and I just go to blending mode, go to soft light. You can see this is immediately add a lot of contrast in it, right? You can also use overlay. Overlay also work. It's a stronger effect than soft light. They're both doing the same job, but just overlay is stronger effect. And whatever you use this blending mode to add contrast, it is important to reduce the opacity because often they are too strong. So I will just go for 30% and it looks just right. And if you like it stronger, you can go to 50% or more. It's all entirely up to you. So this is the third tip. The fourth tip is you can use curve adjustment layer to do color correction or color adjustment. So let me just go back to normal. This is all reset, okay? And then I can just change it to a different channel. For example, red. I can go to red channel. I want the color to be a little bit red, a little bit warmer, then I will use the same. Again, I will use this hand symbol, this hand tool, just go on her skin because I want to add some red tone in it. And I just drag it up. If I drag it down, it will go to more cyan color. And this is the opposite color in RGB. So red opposite color is cyan. If you don't remember this, it's very easy, simple. You just drag it up and down to see the color. Immediately you know what is the opposite color. You don't have to remember it. Okay, if you want to remember them, I also made a graph here. You can have a look. So the red, on the red channel, if you drag it up, this area will become red. You add the red tone in it, okay? And the opposite, if you drag it down, is cyan. And that's the green, magenta, blue, and yellow, okay? So these are the opposite tone, and they are also complementary color, okay? Let me go back to red. So I would add red on the highlight part. This is the bright part of the image. So I will add a little bit And then with the dark tone, let me use this hand tool. Dark tone is over here. This area is all dark tone. So I will just click over here and drag it down. I will have the image like the bright area is actually warm and the dark area is cooler with cyan tone in it. So this is the one way to style a photo. Let me just reset this one. So I can also go to blue channel. Blue opposite, if you don't know, drag it all the way down. It's yellow, okay? You can also reference to this graph. And so I'm going to reset and I'm going to the blue channel. I want the bright part of the image have yellow tone in it. I'm going to drag it down here. Okay, and I want the darker part of the image, I want to have more blue tone in it. So I go to the darker part, it's about here, right? And I just drag it up. So you will see that's a different way of style the image because they are complementary colors. So you can play with the color in the channels like this. So I'm going to reset this one and let's go to the green channel. Okay, so if you don't know what is opposite to green, it's magenta. Okay, I go to the green channel and I want the brightest part of the image to be a little bit more magenta, and which is her skin, and I will drag it down from this area. And I want the dark area of this image, I want it to have green tone in it, and I will just drag it up. So this is another way to style an image. You can just play with the channels to change all the colors. It's just super fun. Okay, so I'm going to reset it. That's just the fourth tip. And the fifth one, for example, like I want the image to be brighter, but I don't want to affect the brightness on her face, which is the brightest part of the image. So what I would do is I just brighten up this image, just drag it mid-tone upwards. And you can see everything is affected in this image, right? Including her face. I don't want this brightest area, it's brightened as well. Go to curves and you right click on the mouse, you will see this menu and go to blending options. Okay, here you can see this one, current layers. If I want to brighten up this image, but I don't want the brighter area of the image also become brighter. So I can go to this current layer and just drag this slider. And you can see the brightest part start to go back to where the color was, right? But it's not a smooth transition. So you need to click on Alt key and separate them. And you can release Alt key now. Separate them, and then you can see it's much smoother transition, right? Let me just move a little bit here. So the brightest part of this image is not affected by this curve adjustment layer, like the adjustment I just did, okay? So you can see this before and this after, and this part is exactly the same as before. So these are the 5 tips for using curve adjustment layer. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you find value out of it, please give it a thumbs up. And we will be uploading more helpful tutorials, so make sure you subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next episode.